Ever hear of a super sensitive animal called a pink fairy armadillo? Me neither. Take a look at this list of crazy cool animals that you probably have never seen. The Japanese spider crab looks like something I'd love to eat with a side of melted butter. It's got the longest leg span of any arthropod in the world, with legs reaching up to 12 feet from claw to claw. These guys live up to 100 years old, and they live on the seafloor in waters near Japan, in case you're wondering why it's called a Japanese spider crab. They can weigh as much as 42 pounds and could probably eat my cat if it wanted to, but supposedly, these guys are pretty timid in nature. The Japanese spider crab is of course considered a Japanese delicacy. Hell, they already look like they're cooked. The Atolla jellyfish isn't just your average jellyfish. It's a jellyfish that uses bioluminescence to fend off its predators. How exactly does it use the flashing lights on its body to protect itself? Essentially, when it's attacked, it flashes distress signals to other predators around that'll be interested in its attacker, more than itself. Yo, this jellyfish knows how to get other people to do its dirty work. I wonder if they sell this guy in stores, because this would definitely be an awesome thing to have in an aquarium. The Yeti crab was just first discovered back in 2005 in the Pacific Ocean, and it's known for its hairy fur covering its legs and claws. These guys live near thermal vents at the bottom of the sea, basically in little thermal pockets of warm water. The water's that deep, the temperature ranges from 30 to 33 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's literally freezing down at the bottom of the sea. However, there are hydrothermal vents that spew out water that's about 720 degrees Fahrenheit, so there are small areas that are much nicer to hang out at, and that's where you can find these guys. The hair that they have on their legs and claws harbor and grow bacteria, which is their favorite food. Man, I wish I had hair on my arms that just harvest and grew pizza. Now this fish here is the honey badger of the waters, because these guys are extremely territorial and love to fight. These guys grow up to a foot long and live in the Pacific Ocean in depths that range from 10 to 240 feet. They live mostly in shells, but crevices as well, and they just poke their head out to catch prey and generally see what's going on. But if other fringe heads get too close to their territory, they open up their extremely large mouths and basically make out with each other, which is their way of fighting and figuring out who's more dominant. Thank goodness that's not the way we do business on land. Now here's a bird that I can definitely get down with, because this bird likes to get jiggy and dance for its girls. The superb bird of paradise is the most elaborate mating ritual in the bird world. And notice I said bird world, because come on, we've all seen some weird in the club. This guy first preps his dance floor by meticulously cleaning it, sometimes even scrubbing the ground with a leaf, and then he attracts a nice young bird lady over with a mating call. After she arrives, he'll spring upward his feather cape around its head and tilt his head back to create a crazy optical illusion of a giant smiley face. He'll then hop around to make sure his potential girl only sees this optical illusion by dancing in front of her every time she moves. Yo, it's like a girl always taking a picture with only her good side, you know? The girl rejects on average 15 to 20 of these dancing dudes before choosing to get down with one of them. And I thought we had it rough. Man. Number 5. At number 5, we have the pink handfish, which is a fish that likes to walk instead of swim. This guy is so rare, only 4 specimens have ever been found, with the last one being almost 20 years ago in 1999. The pink handfish grows to about 6 inches long and only lives off the coastal waters of Australia. They're extremely sensitive to environmental change, and this is the reason why handfish in general are almost extinct. Unfortunately, owning one of these guys is out of the question. The pink fairy armadillo looks like a ferret that's about to go to war. These guys look cute and ferocious at the same time. They grow to only about 3.5 to 5 inches long and weigh about 1/4 pound. They're the smallest armadillos and also the least known because they spend almost all their time underground. These little guys are only found in Argentina, and they're extremely sensitive to pretty much everything. For example, the shell on their back isn't for protection. It's actually pretty fragile. It's only loosely attached by a membrane, and it gives a pink hue because it's blood that gives it that color. Its predators are pretty much anything from dogs to humans who try to keep them as pets. Typically, they only survive 8 days in captivity because they can't handle the change in environment, nor adapt to a new diet. The only way I've ever seen these guys in real life is to be hanging out in Argentina and hoping one of these guys pop up for air. If you're looking for a pet with a lot of sharp teeth, look no further than the sea lamprey, because this guy comes packed with rows on rows of super sharp teeth. They grow up to 3 feet in length and can weigh up to 13 pounds. The sea lamprey doesn't have a jaw and basically latches onto its prey and just holds on and sucks out blood and other fluids. They secrete an anticoagulant into its prey that stops blood from coagulating. Each one of these guys can eat up to 40 pounds of fish in its lifetime. To give you an example of how destructive these guys are, sea lampreys were introduced to the Great Lakes in the US through man-made shipping canals earlier in the 20th century. Before the sea lamprey were in the Great Lakes, fishermen harvested about 15 million pounds of lake trout a year. After sea lampreys got in the Great Lakes, the annual yield dropped down to 300,000 pounds per year. These guys pretty much just seek and destroy. The star-nosed mole has probably the greatest nose in the world. The nose has 22 appendages which are extremely sensitive to touch because of having thousands of receptors called Eimer's organs. Its receptor is so sensitive, it can detect a grain of salt in a mound of sand. So ridiculous. The mole is essentially blind and scavenges for food with the feelers on its nose. A study done by the journal Nature determined the star-nosed mole as the fastest eating mammal. It supposedly takes as little as 120 milliseconds for it to identify and eat its food. Its brain decides in about, 8 milliseconds if a prey is edible or not. That's at the speed of neurons. This guy's the Usain Bolt of eating. And now we're at number 1 for the coolest and most ridiculous animals. But first, click that subscribe button to get my latest videos. At number 1, we've got a ridiculous insect that wants to be a fish so bad, it becomes a part of the fish. That's right, the Cymothera exigua, or the tongue-eating fish, is a parasite that enters fish through its gills and then attaches itself to the fish's tongue. This guy then severs the blood vessels that feed the fish's tongue, causing the tongue to fall off. Then it attaches itself to the stub of the old tongue and then it becomes the fish's new tongue. What? Here's what's next. The most unbelievable fails.